In a landmark emergency decision, the Supreme Court delivered an 8-1 ruling that temporarily upholds a key federal gun control law, pausing a lower court's attempt to strike it down. This rare near-unanimity signals the court's concern that lower courts may be misapplying recent Second Amendment precedents. The case centers on whether the government can restrict gun ownership for individuals deemed a public safety risk, a restriction a lower court had found unconstitutional. By granting this emergency stay, the justices maintain the status quo and prevent immediate legal chaos, while the broader constitutional questions are debated. The ruling is a pivotal moment, hinting at a more cautious approach from the court, as it navigates the tension between gun rights and public safety. The Supreme Court stepped in after a wave of conflicting lower court decisions, all sparked by its 2022 Bruen ruling, which set a new history and tradition test for gun laws. The case at hand challenged a federal law barring certain individuals from owning firearms, with a lower court striking it down for lacking a direct historical precedent. The government argued for a flexible approach, allowing modern laws that are analogous in principle to historical ones, while challengers demanded a strict historical match. The Supreme Court's emergency intervention highlights the urgent need for clarity, as lower courts struggle to apply the Bruen test consistently. This legal standoff underscores the chaos unleashed by Bruen and the court's responsibility to provide guidance before more gun laws unravel. At the core, this case pits two visions of the Second Amendment against each other. Gun rights advocates insist only regulations with clear historical roots are constitutional, warning that modern risk-based restrictions threaten all gun owners' rights. They argue the Bruen decision demands a strict, history-focused approach. The government counters that the Second Amendment has always allowed reasonable limits, especially to protect public safety, and that courts should look for historical analogs, not identical laws. Supporters of regulation stress that the founders couldn't have foreseen today's firearms or societal risks, so flexibility is essential. The debate is about balancing individual rights with the government's duty to protect its citizens. The Supreme Court's 8-1 emergency stay is a rare and striking show of unity on the contentious issue of gun rights, especially in a deeply divided era. In this decision, both liberal and conservative justices came together, agreeing to pause the lower court's ruling while the case is fully considered. This move signals the justices' discomfort with a rigid, one-size-fits-all application of the Bruen precedent, and reflects a desire to prevent sudden legal chaos that could arise from abrupt changes to gun laws. By keeping the law in place nationwide, the majority ensures stability and continuity, allowing time for a more thoughtful review. Their action suggests an openness to a more nuanced, context-aware interpretation of the Second Amendment, rather than a strict historical test alone. Justice Clarence Thomas, the lone dissenter and the original author of the Bruen decision, doubled down on his strict originalist stance, insisting that the court should adhere closely to historical tradition without compromise. His dissent highlights the ongoing and sometimes heated debate within the court's conservative wing over just how far to take the historical test when interpreting the Constitution. The majority's move serves as a clear warning to lower courts: don't take Bruen too far, and don't ignore the practical consequences of your rulings. They urge judges to consider the real-world impact of striking down gun laws, especially on public safety and daily life. With this decision, the stage is set for a more detailed and potentially transformative Supreme Court ruling, one that could reshape Second Amendment jurisprudence for years to come and clarify the balance between individual rights and public safety. The roots of this emergency ruling lie in two recent Supreme Court cases, Bruen and Rahimi. Bruen's 2022 decision replaced a balancing test with a strict historical standard, sparking a flood of lawsuits and confusion as courts tried to find 18th-century analogs for modern gun laws. Some judges demanded near-identical historical laws, leading to the current legal crisis. But in 2024's Rahimi, the court upheld a law disarming those under domestic violence restraining orders, recognizing that the government can restrict gun rights for dangerous individuals. Rahimi showed the court is willing to interpret the historical test with flexibility, especially for public safety. The 8-1 vote in both cases suggests the justices are coalescing around a more pragmatic approach to the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court's emergency decision is set to have an immediate and far-reaching impact on state gun laws, particularly in states like California and New York, where the debate over gun control has been especially intense and ongoing for years. These states, known for their strict regulations, have faced relentless legal attacks from gun rights advocates, challenging the very foundation of their laws. The Supreme Court's ruling now sends a clear message to lower courts, urging them to exercise caution before striking down long-standing gun safety measures that have been in place for decades. This could potentially slow the recent wave of court decisions that have invalidated state gun laws, giving states more time to defend their policies. As a result, states may feel emboldened to stand by and vigorously defend their regulations in the face of legal challenges, while judges might now apply the historical test with greater deference to public safety concerns, as was notably seen in the Rahimi case. Still, despite this guidance, the legal landscape across the country remains deeply fractured and uncertain, with states continuing to experiment with new regulations and courts offering inconsistent, sometimes conflicting rulings on similar issues. The lack of clear, unified national standards means that gun rights and regulations will continue to vary dramatically from state to state, fueling ongoing legal battles, social tensions, and passionate public debate that show no signs of slowing down. The Supreme Court's next move will be crucial in determining whether the nation eventually finds some measure of uniformity on gun control, or whether it will face even deeper division and uncertainty in the years ahead. The future of gun regulation in America is more uncertain than ever. As legal battles intensify and public opinion remains deeply divided, the path forward is anything but clear. The nation stands at a crossroads, with both sides of the debate anxiously awaiting the next move. The Supreme Court's recent emergency ruling is only a temporary fix. It serves as a stopgap measure while deeper questions remain unresolved. The real test will come when the justices address these complex issues in full, weighing the balance between individual rights and public safety. Many legal experts expect the court to adopt a more flexible historical test, one that allows for modern gun safety laws while still respecting the core principles rooted in history. This approach could open the door to new regulations that reflect today's realities while honoring the past. The stakes are enormous. These decisions will shape the rules for firearms in schools, public spaces, and homes, directly impacting not only gun owners, but also the broader public. The outcome will influence how communities feel about their safety and their rights for years to come. Without clear guidance from the nation's highest court, anxiety and division will persist, making national consensus elusive. Communities across the country remain on edge, uncertain about what the future holds. The Supreme Court now faces the immense challenge of interpreting a centuries-old constitutional right for a rapidly changing modern world. The decisions they make will have consequences that echo for generations, shaping the very fabric of American society. For now, the nation waits and watches as the debate over the Second Amendment continues to define the American experience, leaving many to wonder what the next chapter will bring.